Hey there, my name is Niandra, and for me, there's sorta been a dark cloud lingering above Overwatch 2 for a while, and now that the game's been out for at least a week, I feel ready to discuss monetization. Don't get me wrong, I love the gameplay, I love 5v5, I prefer hour 2 to hour 1. I also don't really mind the launch issues, like, hey, it happens, but the monetization's got me kind of uneasy. Okay, so there are a few things that need to be considered here first. For starters, I think Overwatch 2 going free to play was inevitable, a good thing, and also always going to be a rough adjustment. I do think we as Overwatch players have been spoiled by the first game where we could get almost everything for free by just playing the game, which isn't really a thing in the current climate of live service games. Despite Overwatch's loot boxes being the face of every news article against loot boxes for years, they were absolutely the fairest ones out there. And unfortunately, fairness is a problem. If we want continuous development and updates, then Activision Blizzard needs to see continuous revenue and growth. I have seen a lot of posts on Reddit that are basically saying I would prefer to pay $60 once and have loot boxes than the game be free, and it's like, well, how is a one-time purchase 6 years ago supposed to sustain development? And if your answer to that is the loot boxes, my question to you is then, when was the last time you or anyone you knew bought them, when the game gives items so generously? Plus, that's not even going into the whole spiel about loot boxes getting banned in certain countries. Anyway, my point is, we need to be realistic and consider industry standards when discussing Overwatch 2's monetization. It feels like a lot of Overwatch players don't play other live service games, so when Blizzard does these things, it's like this huge shock, while your average Apex or Valorant player would just shrug it off. Now, all that being said though, that doesn't make Overwatch 2's monetization free of criticism, so let's finally get into that. I want to start with some of the communication issues. I think Blizzard are definitely getting better, but still, they stumble pretty hard in places where it really matters. I think the best example of this would be how legacy credits work. Blizzard were pretty vague about how Overwatch 1 credits were going to work in Overwatch 2. They were like, oh, we're bringing all the seasonal skins back and you might not be able to get them again, and it's like, what the fuck does that mean exactly? I was one of the content creators that got access to Overwatch 2 a week early, so I made a video before October 4th explaining legacy credits. I mentioned that legacy credits could no longer be spent on old Overwatch 1 event skins, but every new hero will have a set of evergreen cosmetics that legacy credits can buy. One thing I brought up was, if there's an event skin that interests you, buy it in Overwatch 1 before you're forced to use real money in Overwatch 2. But then there was the flip side. So many people left comments that were like, if I had known this information earlier, I would not have bought these Overwatch 1 skins I didn't really care for but thought were going away forever, and instead I would have saved my money for actually new cosmetics. My NDA expired on the 29th, I wasn't able to get this information out earlier, and I felt so bad because players only had 5 days to get more credits. Anyway, this leads me to my next point, that legacy credits can't be earned anymore. Overwatch 2 not having a free currency is probably my biggest problem. I know some games like Valorant don't, but a lot do, like Apex Legends and Dead by Daylight. In those two games, accumulating the free currency is fairly slow and the cosmetics are marked up, so it's going to be a while before you can buy a skin and you really need to think about the one you want. In Overwatch 2 though, either you buy Overwatch coins with real money or you gain them from weekly challenges, at a rate of 60 per week. If a free-to-play user wanted this legendary Junker Queen skin, it would take them 31 weeks or just over 7 months for one skin. That is just absolutely fucking insane. And keep in mind, a free-to-play user could be someone who bought Overwatch 1 but doesn't want to put any more money in. To that person, cosmetics have just been almost completely shut off. You can say that cosmetics don't affect gameplay, which is completely true, but I do think they count as content. Pretty much every Overwatch content creator has used cosmetics at one point or another to drive engagement. For me, I think my quote-unquote ideal system would be to rename legacy credits to like fucking scrap metal or whatever, bring back player levels because long-term progression is nice, and then give players a tiny amount every level. If you got 25 legacy credits each time, it would take 76 levels to get this Junker Queen skin. That doesn't sound amazing, but it's kind of in line with what other games are doing. The player would have a choice, use real money or slowly grind, but not so slow that it takes over half a fucking year. Another thing that's worth keeping in mind is that Overwatch 2 wants to attract new players. Someone on Reddit worked out that buying every single Overwatch 1 cosmetic would now cost over $12,000. Personally, I completely understand that live service games do not want players to own every single thing. I have no problems with that, but Overwatch 2 seems to be taking it to extremes, where free-to-play players just get very little, and you can defend that, you can be fine with that, no problem, but you can't be surprised when that starts to alienate or piss people off. In the shop, legendary skins go for 1,900 Overwatch coins, which is roughly $19. This is apparently fairly standard pricing. Personally, I think they should be like $15, but that's just me, and ultimately I think I'm okay with this, especially when they're doing like bundles and stuff. One thing I'm not a fan of though is that every item of the same type is the same price. So for example, a 6-year-old legendary skin that might have a recolor that needs to be bought separately by the way, is just as expensive as something that comes out today. In fact, Overwatch 1 items actually got more expensive. For example, a legendary skin in the first game cost 1,000 credits outside when they're new, and now they're 900 more. Lowering the cost of skins as they age feels like it should be a no-brainer. Obviously, they're trying to funnel players towards the Battle Pass by making that great value for $10, and that's fine. I'm pretty sad that you can't earn coins back on the Battle Pass, but I can live with that. And that's when it all just sorta hit me. New heroes being locked, not getting coins back on the Battle Pass, a crappy free user experience, very expensive skins, all of these things by themselves are understandable, and sacrifices that a lot of players would be willing to make to see Overwatch 2 succeed. But when you do all of these things, the experience ends up feeling crappy, even if you acknowledge that it's industry standard. I really hope at some point some of these aspects are toned down, but I also recognise that there could be tons of whales out there who are spending so much money that Blizzard don't need to do that. As I said earlier, I mainly just want a secondary free currency since a lot of the other aspects are pretty ignorable. So yeah, I hope this video is coherent. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. Feel free to drop a like and comment, and have a nice day.